What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a review of the fourth studio album and the first in quite some time, also their first on Columbia Records by the indie pop band Vampire Weekend, Father of the Bride. Years of speculation, years of writing, and years of waiting have all come to this pinnacle moment, the band's fourth studio album, Father of the Bride. Lead vocalist and writer Ezra Koenig had been adamant for quite some time that a new album was coming, and while it didn't quite see the 2017-2018 release window that I initially thought that it would, it's here now, and I think most of us are probably pretty happy to have Vampire Weekend back. Granted, at this point, they are just a trio in the studio as Rostam quietly departed the band at the top of 2018. He insisted that he would still be a part of the band. He wanted to focus on his solo career, but he wanted to be a part in terms of songwriting, helping out with production where he could, and it seems like that promise actually holds up because he is officially credited on 2 songs here. With 6 years passing in between albums, I genuinely had no idea what they would break out or what a full-length album from Vampire Weekend would sound like in 2019. Father of the Bride is surprisingly robust yet largely open, a kinda space-filled record that doesn't necessarily feel the need to press the matter and fill up every empty slot in the mix with extra noise. Ariel Rekshad is the lead producer once again following modern vampires of the city, although this time there's quite a few other voices adding an influence to the track list, something that might make this feel a bit disjointed for some, at least in places. Danielle Haim of the sister act band Haim is featured on 3 songs officially, while Steve Lacy of the band The Internet grabs 2 guest spots. Even some of the tracks that don't officially feature an artist still have backing or additional female vocals, making this record have a totally different aura and presence as they move from song to song. As far as the actual genre, style, and mood here, I'd chalk it up as a rather sunny sounding record that's often contrasted by darker lyrical themes that range from self-hatred, politics, and infidelity. It seems as if they had a switch they flipped every few tracks, keeping it, yes, indie pop as a whole, I suppose, but also dipping their toes in the water of electronic and country music. A little bit of twang with my Vampire Weekend? Well, color me intrigued, partner. Let's start off positive, since that's exactly how this record feels the majority of the time, at least musically. Keys flow throughout, gentle guitars and rhythmic percussion sway like a willow tree branch in the wind, plus we're exposed to some rather unconventional bursts of energy or outside instrumentation in places. There's just enough vocal variety from Ezra and his collaborators to keep things interesting, although I do feel like the album walks in circles a bit in places, bringing down the overall mood. That's mainly the way things go on Father of the Bride. It's somewhat inconsistent and it doesn't quite know when to cut itself off or where to stop. I feel it truly could have benefited from being cut down to 12 or 13 tracks from the more unwieldy selection of 18. I get that we've been waiting for new material for a while, and there's a big expectation probably to deliver a lot of music, but I think I, as somebody who can confidently say that he loves the first 3 Vampire Weekend albums, can say I think that I would probably prefer something that was more concise, direct, and actually felt like it was important start to finish. There's definitely some unexpected dips into country and folk music, which honestly does look better on them than I would have expected, with Danielle Haim jumping on a lot of those western-leaning moments to make a nice, well-rounded addition to the mix. It really does get complicated because the tempo and tone of this album needs to match your current mindset in order to fully engage with the album. Maybe for some that's taking a night drive with the album, maybe it's cleaning around the house, or maybe it's just laying in bed with the lights off. Father of the Bride is a pleasant experience, but at times it feels like you're trying to keep a smile on your face around family for an extended period of time, and you eventually just want to step away for a bit to catch a breath. We'll start off with This Life, which has a really delightful appeal, finding a way to swirl in an I Love McConan sample alongside backing vocals from Danielle Haim that add a richness to the sound, and a co-writing credit from Mark Ronson? I didn't expect it, but I'll take it when it sounds this good. The jubilant Harmony Hall shines like a star with infectious pianos, catchy vocals, and even a callback to the band's own track Yahe off of Modern Vampires. Of course, it's not butterflies and sunshine in the lyrics, it's a red herring for the bite of wicked snakes and angry voices as Ezra takes a moment to reflect on broken fragments of our society. The contrast is kind of perfect as I find myself bouncing back and forth between whether I'm paying attention to the lyrics on one listen or the music on another. We get a pair of officially credited Steve Lacy from the internet, I should say Steve Lacy from the band The Internet. That's almost like introducing him as Steve Lacy from the United States of America. Wow, so specific, right? Steve Lacy from the band The Internet gets two features here back to back in the form of Sunflower and Flower Moon. Sunflower is a super powerful and also kind of overjoying, bubbly track that has a lot of boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, boo-doo-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. I wouldn't quite call it scatting, but I also wouldn't quite call it singing. It's somewhere in the twilight zone, lurking underneath. I can't really say the same for Flower Moon. It's kind of a counterpoint that comes right after it, and it starts to get into some of the issues that I do take with this record. It's inconsistent. It plays it up and a little bit more high octane one moment, and then we switch gears without really having a period of transition. My Mistake, however, takes a full-on bend to the jazz dimension, and I can't say that I'm really complaining. There's been elements of it that have been left in the mix on other tracks, but here we take it full on. It's divided into sections of more introspection and others of more jazzy instrumentals, and I definitely feel like there's a big mood going on either way, and the space in between, it feels kind of intimate, yet somehow maybe a bit comforting, if that makes sense. There's certainly a few awkward puzzle pieces lining the track list, with Bambina towing the line of what I feel works in the context of the album overall. Vampire Weekend have of course toyed with vocal effects and reverb-soaked instrumentals in the past, but I really feel like they just started pushing buttons both literally and metaphorically on this one. Sympathy really gets a bit reckless, changing lanes in a major way on this record. Again, that does feel a bit jarring in a way, but I also can't deny that I really do connect with a song like this. It's fun to listen to, but you also have to take into effect the lyrics of this one, which are talking about religion. Oh no, that's something that Vampire Weekend have never talked about ever on one of their songs before. Let's go ahead and talk about the 3 official Danielle Haim features, starting with the opening moment, Hold You Now. I do feel that their voices work really well together in the mix. They complement each other. There's a lot of natural musical chemistry there. And while it does get grating a little bit over time, and I find myself wishing for a little bit more of Ezra and a little bit less of Danielle, that's not a slight to her. That's just me saying, oh, I really am missing something that I feel that we're not getting with Vampire Weekend. However, Hold You Now is a great opening moment that really did draw me into the record. It had a differing pace to it, and I like the fact that they brought in this choral sample. It makes it kind of sound gospel-y, epic, and Vampire Weekend kind of have a history with this stuff. Like I was talking about with religion, once again, they make it work to their advantage. Moving right along past the collaborations, I want to talk about Big Blue, a melancholic piece that seems to almost serve as a buffer in between sections of the record, but I do feel that it serves its purpose well, and it kind of naturally segues into my favorite track on the record, How Long. A swirl of finger snaps, acoustic guitar, and vocal charisma from Ezra introduced the key moment, How Long, a true Vampire Weekend gem if I've ever heard one. The chopped up effects and low-key but kind of direct attitude from Ezra made this really hit for me, and all of those chiming piano hits in certain places in the background reminded me heavily of Pursuit of Happiness, one of my favorite songs of all time by Kid Cudi. We might as well talk about the third track that continues the album's strongest section in my eyes with Unbearably White. This is a song that sees Ezra working the word unbearably into a variety of different situations, giving it different context and meaning each time it pops up. And not only is this song effervescent, it's something that hypnotizes me as I listen, it's also really well penned and quite keen. Touches of accompanying strings and a light guitar loop with a jazzy drum line serve as a reminder of this album's occasional jazzy tendencies once again, and Unbearably White is probably the best execution of this sound. I'll wrap this up by saying that I don't feel that the final 3 tracks on the album, Stranger, Spring Snow, and also Jerusalem, New York, Berlin, didn't feel that effective to me. It's maybe a product of its length, or maybe it's just something else that was lingering in the mix that I found off-putting, but I just didn't feel super engaged with those 3 moments in particular, and I felt like that was just kind of a slow burn into nothing to finish out the record. As much as it might seem like I'm being nitpicky with this record, it's a fine enough listen that has me feeling like I'm stuck between the rock that is the music critics that are lapping this up like a kitten in a bowl of milk, and the hard place that is the people that didn't like this record, the ones that were truly let down and disappointed. I'm somewhere stuck in the middle, feeling like, yes, I like certain sections, there's definitely songs that I'll be cherry picking off, but I didn't find it to be that strong overall. Call me the middleman, I suppose, but do be patient with this album, give it some extended listens, try to focus on it, because that's what it took for me. Some listens I find myself vibing with it more than others, but overall, I finally landed on a rating of 3 out of 5. Keep in mind, everything said today is just my opinion. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. Please drop a like on the review and subscribe for the love of music. If you'd be able to support the channel on Patreon, it would be greatly appreciated. Tap the top link down below, the annotation in the corner, or see my review of Modern Vampires of the City right here. Tap here for another recent indie review, and other than that, connect with me on social media at all of these links here, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.